Part 1. The sweetness that steals your calm. Let's start with a moment of honesty. Sugar feels good, at least for a while. It lights something up in your brain, a rush of dopamine, a hit of comfort, a memory of childhood, celebration, or reward. It's in the cookie you reach for after a long day, the chocolate you sneak after the kids go to bed, the pint of ice cream when your heart hurts or your inbox is too full. We don't eat sugar because we're weak. We eat it because it works temporarily. It lifts, it soothes, it calms, and then somewhere between 5 minutes and an hour later, it drops you. That's the part we don't talk about enough. The crash, the fog, the mood dip, the restless night, the strange anxiety that shows up hours after the sweetness has gone. Sugar doesn't just affect your waistline. It affects your nervous system, your hormones, your sleep, your mood. And when you start paying attention, you begin to realize something. Those late night awakenings, those anxious thoughts at 2 a.m., those feelings of panic with no clear cause, they might be blood sugar talking. They might be the after effect of something you ate 12 hours ago, whispering now through your biology. Here's how it works. You eat something sugary, your blood sugar spikes, you feel good, energized, maybe even euphoric for a moment. But your body doesn't want high blood sugar. It sees it as dangerous, so it releases insulin. A lot of it, sometimes too much. And when that insulin flood comes, your blood sugar drops quickly. Too quickly. That's the crash. And when that crash happens, your brain panics. It thinks you're in trouble. It releases stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline to try and bring your blood sugar back up. You feel edgy, jittery, angry, sad, or tired but wired. That's not emotional instability. That's a chemical reaction. That's sugar taking you for a ride. And the ride doesn't stop just because it's night. That roller coaster might still be playing out long after your head hits the pillow. And that's why some nights, even if you're exhausted, you can't seem to sink. You lie in bed, thoughts racing, heart slightly elevated, stomach unsettled. You didn't drink caffeine, you didn't check your phone, you're just not resting. And the reason might be something as simple and invisible as the cookie you ate after dinner. Now let's talk about what that crash does to your mood. When your blood sugar dips, your brain doesn't just panic physically, it panics emotionally. You feel more anxious, more reactive, more overwhelmed. The same problem feels bigger. The same silence feels lonelier. The same life feels heavier. That's not because you're failing at life. That's because your brain doesn't have stable fuel. It's starving for steadiness. And the more often you ride that sugar wave during the day, the more volatile your emotions become at night. You snap at your partner, you dread the next morning, you scroll instead of sleeping, and then you wake up tired. So you reach for sugar again to feel alive. And the cycle repeats. This is the trap no one talks about. Not because people are hiding it, but because most people don't even realize it's happening. We treat sugar like a treat. But for many of us, it's become a trap. One that quietly affects how we feel, how we rest, and how we respond to life. And breaking free isn't about never touching sugar again. It's about seeing the full picture. It's about noticing how you feel, not just when you eat it, but hours later. It's about asking yourself, is this moment of sweetness worth the spiral that follows? The truth is, sugar is not evil, but it's not neutral either. It's powerful, and the more we respect that power, the more we can work with it instead of against it. That means choosing it on purpose. That means noticing how it affects you. That means learning how to create sweetness in your life in ways that don't cost you your peace. Because that peace, that steady mind, steady mood, steady sleep, that's what you really crave. Not just something sweet, but something stable. Part 2. Choosing sweetness without sacrificing sleep. So what does it look like to live with sugar in a way that doesn't steal your sleep? It starts with one powerful mindset shift. You are not weak for craving sweetness. You are wired for it. From the time you were born, your body associated sweetness with nourishment, comfort, and reward. Breast milk is sweet. Fruit is sweet. Celebration is sweet. Sugar isn't just a chemical, it's a symbol. So craving it doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human. But here's the thing, not all sweetness is created equal, and not all sugar hits the body the same way. There's a massive difference between having a small dessert after a balanced meal and eating candy on an empty stomach in the middle of a stressful afternoon. One gives your body something to enjoy. The other sends it into chaos. One is a choice. The other is a coping mechanism, and you can feel the difference, not just in your digestion or your energy, but in how you sleep that night. So let's talk about how to make sugar work with you instead of against you. First, timing. Sugar late at night, especially on its own, is a sleep disruptor. It spikes your blood sugar at the exact time your body is trying to wind down. It activates your system instead of relaxing it. So if you're going to enjoy something sweet, try to have it earlier in the evening, ideally as part of a meal. When sugar is eaten alongside protein, fat, and fiber, it digests more slowly. It doesn't spike your blood sugar as hard. It doesn't create as much of a crash. You still get the pleasure, but with a buffer. Think dark chocolate after dinner with some almonds. A cookie paired with a little Greek yogurt. Oatmeal made sweet with banana and chia seeds. These combos don't just taste better, they feel better. In your belly, in your brain, in your sleep. Second, quality. Not all sugars behave the same. Highly processed sugars, think corn syrup, artificial sweeteners, packaged pastries, hit your system fast and hard. They're engineered for maximum stimulation, not nourishment. On the other hand, natural sugars like raw honey, maple syrup, dates, or fruit come with minerals, fiber, and flavor complexity. They're not magic. They still need to be consumed with care, but they tend to treat your body with a little more respect. They're less of a hit and more of a hum, and that difference matters, especially at night. Third, rhythm. When your meals during the day are balanced, consistent, and satisfying, your sugar cravings shrink. Not because you're being disciplined, but because your blood sugar is stable. Your brain isn't screaming for quick fuel. You're not living in feast or famine. You're steady. That means 3 meals a day with real food. Protein at breakfast, fiber at lunch. Healthy fats in the afternoon. A dinner that doesn't leave you wanting more by 9 p.m. You don't need to cut sugar. You need to build a foundation where sugar doesn't feel like a rescue mission. Fourth, sweetness beyond food. This is the one no one talks about. A lot of sugar cravings aren't about sugar at all. They're about the absence of sweetness in your life. You work hard, you carry stress, you hold things together for everyone. And when there's no space for pleasure, your brain goes looking for the fastest substitute. That's often sugar. But what if you fed that craving with something else? A slow walk, a beautiful song, a bath, a cozy blanket, a meaningful text, a laugh, a poem, a moment of real connection. Those things feed you too, just not in the way that spikes your insulin. You don't have to fear sugar. You just have to stop using it to fix what only rhythm and rest can heal. When sugar becomes a choice instead of a crutch, everything changes. Your sleep softens, your moods even out, your cravings quiet down. Not because you said no to everything sweet, but because you started saying yes to the kind of life that doesn't need rescuing. So go ahead, have the treat. Just know why you're choosing it, and let it be one part of your life, not the lifeline holding everything else together. Because true sweetness, that's what happens when your mind, body, and spirit are finally on the same page. Part 3. The kind of sweetness that doesn't hurt. Here's the truth no one tells you. When you stop needing sugar to survive the day, you don't just sleep better, you live better. You stop riding emotional highs and lows. You stop crashing into sleep and waking up in panic. You stop numbing and start noticing. And in that noticing, you begin to remember something ancient, something buried. You are capable of holding yourself, of calming yourself, of feeding yourself in ways that don't tear you down afterward. That's real sweetness. Not the kind that melts in your mouth and vanishes in minutes. The kind that lingers, that restores, that tells your body, you're okay, you're not in danger, you're home. And this isn't about perfection. This isn't about giving up sugar forever, or counting grams, or becoming afraid of food. This is about shifting your relationship with it, from dependency to dignity, from coping to choosing, from automatic to aware. There will still be days you want something sweet just because. That's fine, that's human. But you'll know the difference between reaching for sugar because you're celebrating and reaching because you're crashing. You'll feel it in your breath, in your heartbeat, in your clarity. And once you feel that difference, it's hard to go back. Because suddenly, the temporary high doesn't feel worth the long-term fog. Suddenly, the restless night doesn't feel worth the 2 minutes of comfort. Suddenly, you want something more lasting, more honest, more peaceful. And you'll realize you can create that peace yourself, with rhythm, with real meals, with rest, with rituals that feed your nervous system instead of flooding it, with boundaries that protect your calm, with small, steady choices that build trust between you and your body again. Because sugar will always be there. It's not going anywhere. But now you don't need it to hold you up. Now you don't need it to fix what presence can gently heal. You've outgrown the lie that sweetness has to come with a crash. You've outgrown the belief that food is the only place you can feel safe. And what's left is freedom, not restriction. Freedom to choose from alignment. Freedom to sleep without being startled awake. Freedom to feel without being derailed. Freedom to live with clarity and kindness toward yourself. This is what eating to sleep really means. Not avoiding every trigger, but building a life that makes those triggers less loud, less constant, less necessary. A life where sugar becomes what it was always meant to be. A flavor, not a lifeline. A treat, not a trap. A choice, not a chain. And when you get there, when you start living from that place of steadiness, you won't have to fight your cravings anymore. They'll shift, they'll soften, they'll speak more gently, because they'll know you're listening, and they'll trust that you'll respond with care. That's the real sweetness. That's the kind that helps you sleep. That's the kind that lasts. You've been listening to Eat to Sleep, a podcast from the Daily Health Shift. If this episode gave you a new way to look at sugar and how it shapes your mood and rest, we'd love for you to follow the show, leave a kind review, and share it with someone who's tired of the highs and lows. You don't have to quit sugar to get your life back. You just have to choose yourself more often. Sleep well, friend.